Hey pre-calc students, how you doing today? It's Miss Taz. Alright, so we're going to try this again. I already did my sound check, and I'm going to try to make sure this is short. So it's 10:42 that I'm filming this, and, we'll go from there. Hopefully keep this short. Alright, so you're going to need out two things. You need out the paper that I gave you in class with the little grids on it. It says graphs of sine and cosine functions. You're also going to need out some paper for notes, and both notes will be carried on to next class. So if you need to pause and get those out, okay? Alright, so first thing is to go through. This is a basic sine and or cosine function that we can write. And these are all the different bits and pieces, and we're going to talk about those in more detail next class, okay? So first, A is the amplitude, okay? And the amplitude is the height or distance from the center of the function to its peak, okay? So center of the function to the peak. B, from up here, what B does, B is the number of periods from 0 to 2 pi. What this does is it will help us calculate the actual period, which we learned what the period was in class today. Remember, it's how long it takes for the curve to do one cycle before it repeats itself. Okay? Alright, so next, you need to pause so you can get those copied down. Oh, let me move this so you can see my little doohickey. Did you notice I did hearts on the first one, Valentine's, right? Just in case. I can use this again next time. So here we go. We got our shamrock dancing. Alright, C is the phase shift, also known as the horizontal shift, which we use that terminology much more often. This moves left and right and opposite of the sine. Last one, D, is the vertical shift. So vertical shift here, right? Oh, it doesn't let me move it around. That's an easy one. So let's graph some. So now you need to go to your paper that you have. Alright, doing good. I'm only 2 minutes in. You can do it, Miss Tez. Alright, so sine curves. That's what we graphed today. Sines and cosine curves. Remember on the spaghettis. So remember sine is your y values, okay? Your y values, and the sine at 0 is 0, right? So we go right here and we start with our 0. Now, I'm going to go through, if you remember the period for one full curve that we saw today, we remembered that it was 2 pi. Okay, so here's our period. The amplitude, we're just going to be lazy and write amp, the A value here is 1. Okay, and so the amplitude is also 1. Now, the period is actually calculated from this B value that's in here, and this B value is also 1. So to find the period, you do 2 pi divided by B, hence 2 pi here. So this will be our ending point for one period. We're only going to be graphing for one period. Half of 2 pi is pi. Half of pi is pi halves. So it's counted by pi halves. That's 1 pi half, 2 pi halves, 3 pi halves. Look, it's just the quadrants that are on the unit circle. Okay? Now, the maximum is 1, and the minimum is -1 from the amplitude. This is telling us how high and low we are going to go. Okay? So I'm going to change my color here. 5 key points for sine. They go middle, high, middle, low, middle. Remember? Middle, high, middle, low, middle. So it's going to go middle, high, middle, low, middle. Okay, so we have middle, high, middle, low, middle. So this is then, don't make fun of my curve. I'll do better on pencil. This is the curve. And we could keep going. It would just keep going up and down both directions. to infinity and beyond. Okay? All right, so this here, now this is an odd function. You're going to have to know that too. This is an odd function because it has symmetry. If we look at certain domains of it, it has symmetry across the origin. So keep that in mind. We'll talk about that again. All right, next problem, number 2, cosine. So cosine's period is also 2 pi because the b value is 1, and 2 pi divided by 1 is 2 pi. The amplitude is your a value here. The pen's acting up. So that is 1 again. So our highest and lowest is 1. So if we take a look and we go, okay, that means the highest is 1, lowest is -1, the period is 2 pi, so the scale is exactly the same as the problem that we just did. Exactly the same. Okay, so now we have our cosine. Now cosine key points, they start high, so they go high, middle, low, middle, high. High, middle, low, middle, high. So we go high, middle, low, middle, high. Now be careful, this is not a V, it's a curved shape, so don't make it look like a V. Hopefully you can do better than me. And again, this would just keep going. Boom, on each side. Now this is an even function because it has symmetry across the, hopefully you said, y-axis. Okay? Alright, so we have one more problem, and then I'll be done for today. I'm doing quick. Alright, so we have at the bottom y equals -2 sine of x. So now, here's what's different. So our amplitude, it is not -2, it is 2. Amplitude is 2. The negative tells us that this function is inverting across the what? X-axis. Hopefully that's what you said, right? Booyah! X-axis. So this is inverted over the x. Inverted over x-axis. The period, what's the period? That's right, 2 pi, because this is a 1. 2 pi divided by 1, bam, 2 pi. So our scale is exactly the same. I haven't changed it yet. I'm not going to do that to you over a recording here. So this is pi halves, pi, 3 pi over 2. These are the 5 key points, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 key points that you will hear me over and over and over and over and over and over again talking about in class, okay? So now the max is not 1, it's 2. Now at any time you want to pause me to try to do this on your own and see if you can get it, go ahead and do so. Pause, okay? And then go through and try to graph it, okay? Now if you recall, sine starts in the middle. So it's still going to start in the middle. That's not going to change. But instead of going middle what? Yep, middle high, it's going to go middle low. So it's going to go middle, low, middle, high, middle. And here is one period of this. So the amplitude is 2, which means it's getting taller. It's kind of getting stretched vertically. The negative is indicating that it is flipped upside down. And then our period is exactly the same. Okay? So that is all for today. This is what we're going to be doing next class. You know that you have other homework that you also need to complete, so please get that done. I will see you next class. Bye.